No spoilers ahead. I'm Johnny. Welcome to my house of horrors. Quick disclaimer.
I'm Johnny. As a lifelong horror fan, I have learned, through necessity, that you've got to be able to take the good with the bad, or you're going to end up a miserable person. Now, if you can take that thinking one step further and actually learn to appreciate the bad and all of its laughable absurdity, you'll end up with what I'm trying to do here on this channel. Now, I always do my best to find a balance between complimenting and criticizing, but with some movies that can be really challenging. With other movies, ones that I may deem irredeemable, it's damn near impossible to do it with any level of sincerity. And you have to be sincere or else you're just trumpeting somebody else's opinions, right? So this channel's in its infancy, but I plan on doing this for an awfully long time, or at least until I've said everything I've got to say. So, in keeping with longevity and sincerity, I've decided I am no longer going to step around those movies I consider irredeemable. Instead, I'm going to go right through them. I'm going to start doing it right now. James Wan directed Saw and Leigh Whannell wrote it. The movie opens with two dirty, sweaty strangers waking up wondering how the hell they ended up prisoners in a filthy toilet. Where I live, we used to call that Sunday morning after the Beat Club. Wesley from The Princess Bride plays a doctor named Lawrence, and Leigh Whannell plays a photographer named Adam because writing the movie doesn't get you nearly enough attention, I guess. Both men find cassettes in their pockets, and Lawrence also finds a key in a single bullet. And given there's a body between them holding a tape player and a gun, I guess we're good to go. The voice on Adam's tape calls him a voyeur and asks him if he's going to watch himself die today or if he plans on doing something about it. And Lawrence's tape says he has to kill Adam before 6 o'clock or his wife and daughter are going to die. They find two hacksaws, but when they prove too flimsy for the chains, the good doctor believes he knows who's abducted them. We're shown two flashbacks of previous victims who'd failed to escape their traps, both of whom had jigsaw-shaped sections cut from their skin. So the cunning detectives, played by Glover and Ken Leung, dig deep into the creative well and dub the killer Jigsaw. Back in the men's room, Lawrence the genius profoundly points out that Jigsaw never actually kills anyone himself, which I guess is meant to add a layer of depth. Yet another flashback shows Lawrence watching Jigsaw's only known survivor, Amanda, during her police interview. And then Amanda rudely interrupts Lawrence's flashback with one of her own when she recalls the reverse bear trap Jigsaw clamped onto her head. Given its dimensions and dense metal material, I'm guessing it would have driven me right into the ground like a lawn dart. But Amanda's tiny figure and massive dependency on heroin allows her to toss that thing around like she's in a Whitesnake video. Back in the Wicked washroom, Adam finds a hidden camera behind a two-way mirror. And you know what else is behind that mirror? A flashback of Lawrence with his family just moments before they're abducted by whoever's doing all this rampant abducting. And from that flashback, we cut to a flashback, and this time it's Glover and Ken Leung policing their way right into one of Jigsaw's immaculate evil lairs. Inside, they find a man tied to a chair with two drills pointing right at his temples. But before they have a chance to free him, Emperor Palpatine arrives and startles the officers, so they cover the man back up and hide behind stuff, which is also fairly standard police procedure when an innocent life is in such obvious danger. When they leap out to arrest Palpatine, he steps on a big red button beside... Sorry. My apologies, folks. When they leap out to arrest Jigsaw, he steps on a big red button beside his foot. This creates a doozy of a predicament. Palpatine outsmarts both veteran cops without even using the Force. Danny's throat's cut, and Ken's killed in a way that wouldn't even be believable in a Saw movie. You know what I meant. The fiasco costs Danny Glover his job, so he moves in directly across the street to devote his unemployed energy to proving Dr. Lawrence is Jigsaw. Back again in the torture toilet, Lawrence finds a box with a cell phone and a secret note from Jigsaw telling him to use the poisoned blood from the dead man on the floor to kill Adam, which doesn't confuse Jigsaw's motive in any way. Being a smart surgeon, the note gives Lawrence an idea. Surprisingly, the plan fails and Adam gets an impossible electric jolt through his leg as though we audience members had an on-off switch at our disposals in the cinema. Lawrence's wife, played by Monica Potter, calls the cell phone and says Adam's not to be believed. And Lawrence is all like, "Yeah, I know, I've just seen his acting." Despite being immobilized and weaponless, Lawrence goes ballistic and threatens Adam from across the room. And being street smart, Adam knows surgeons have a reputation for physical violence and secret ninja skills. So clearly intimidated, Adam uses a flashback to tell Lawrence Danny Glover paid him to follow him around. In movies that are good, flashbacks are meant to make the story more interesting by presenting the timeline in a non-chronological order, but Saw uses them to convey the entire story as if each one's a tiny jigsaw piece. And because more is always better, these flashbacks make Saw as much fun to watch as sitting down with a senile relative to work on a puzzle with 87,000 pieces. After Adam's flashback, he throws a load of photos at Lawrence as proof. Lawrence recognizes someone from the hospital peering out his own window, but the moment he makes the connection, Adam distracts him by pointing to the time in a non-dramatic fashion. If you thought it was ridiculous to suggest Lawrence hadn't noticed the time himself given the circumstances, you wouldn't be wrong. But you've never been trapped in an abandoned industrial toilet with a guy, so shut up. Back at the doctor's house, the guy from the photo called Zepp tells Allison her husband's failed and forces her to call him. But in a move too quick and wily for even the camera, she turns the tables and takes Zepp's gun. But she doesn't shoot him with it though, because... So the pair wrestles and then a shot goes off, springing Danny Glover into action from across the street in the house he bought after he lost his job. Like a good veteran cop, he takes cover behind a 4-inch strip of wood and is genuinely taken aback when his gun runs out of bullets in a gunfight. The boys scuffle, but Zepp manages to escape, probably because his limp keeps coming and going the way limps usually do after fresh injuries. And next, we're treated to cinematic splendor with an action-packed car chase that pays homage to Danny Glover's Lethal Weapon past. But back in the lurid latrine, Lawrence goes loopy and lops his lower limb off and loads the Luger with a lone bullet, sending the slug soaring through Adam's slender shoulder. And before you get angry in the comments, I am absolutely aware the gun's not a Luger. I just like a little alliteration every now and then. Zepp arrives after killing Danny Glover and tells the good doctor he hasn't got a leg to stand on because he's missed the deadline. But just as he's about to kill Lawrence, Adam hooks his heel and pulverizes him with a porcelain toilet top, demonstrating how angry Adam must have really been, given that a bullet just traveled through his upper right side only moments ago, and without this kind of extreme anger, it's likely that his right side wouldn't have worked at all. As Lawrence slinks away like a snail rolled in flour, he assures Adam, the guy he just shot, he'll definitely be back with help. When Adam checks Zepp for a key, he finds a cassette that says Zepp's just another pawn in Jigsaw's game. And just as this revelation's sinking in, the dead body in the middle of the room rises to its feet to reveal the cancer patient John Kramer, who's appeared in 26 of Saw's 214 flashbacks. John tells Adam the key he's looking for was in the bathtub, but we know from an earlier scene that it's lost down the drain with any illusion that Leigh Whannell can act. And the movie ends with John declaring the game's over as he slams the heavy sliding door shut in a manner we may have seen somewhere else. It just takes John a little bit longer to do it, given his advanced age and all that pesky terminal cancer.
And there you have it. The plot of Saw. So we're meant to believe
Jigsaw's never actually killed anyone himself, which of course makes perfect sense when I think about all the times I've voluntarily slathered myself in a flammable substance as I walked across broken glass in a room full of lit candles and barbed wire with a slow-acting poison coursing through my veins.
Lawrence, shut up!
And we're meant to believe the detectives hauled Lawrence in as a suspect because they found a pen light at the scene. And we're also supposed to believe after Lawrence's alibi checked out, the police procedure dictated now that he's got nothing to do with the crime, he should stick around and watch the traumatized victim of a serial killer recount her devastating near-death experience through a window, like he's watching Netflix.
Leigh Whannell and James Wan, shut up!
Wan and Whannell focused on the low-hanging fruit by trying to impress horror fans with the new and ingenious, creative, painful deaths, to the extent that a lot of people think Saw spawned the controversial torture porn subgenre. While I could care less about that label, I can say the kills in Saw are laughable. We don't know a thing about the victims, we aren't shown anything substantial, and what we are shown flies past in a choppy green wannabe Matrix blur. I think my biggest problem with Saw is the premise, or Jigsaw's motivation for doing these despicable things to people. If I did up a list of ways to help you appreciate the life you have, it would look something like this. At the end of your day, write something down you were grateful for. Spend time with people who love you. Stop comparing yourself to other people. How long do you think that list would need to be before it naturally included threaten to rip a drug addict's jaw off unless she agrees to kill another innocent human being?
Leigh Whannell and James Wan, fuck off!
Since this movie in 2004, Leigh Whannell and James Wan have made $1 gajillion with movies like Insidious and The Conjuring and all their respective spin-offs. And in my opinion, they've made this money by shifting horror from scary, which is challenging, to startling, which is as easy as me making my next shot very loud and abrupt.
Don't worry, I'm not gonna do it.
And on a final note, if I'm supposed to believe Saw 2004 deserves to have made over $100 million worldwide, and that Leigh Whannell should be a celebrated horror writer and James Wan a big shot horror director,
I think it is a bunch of Cheers, Diego. How could I have forgotten the albino tricycle terrorist? How can anybody take this shit seriously? Fuck Leigh Whannell and James Wan. Fuck Saw. And most of all, fuck Billy the Pup. I heard you the first time.
What the fuck?
It's me, Johnny, from that thing you just watched. If you liked it, go down the bottom corner there, smash me in the face to subscribe. If you want to watch another thing, there's one right there. Do it.